I am Brooklyn-based psychotherapist Nikita Banks, and I am your host of the Black Therapist Podcast. The Black Therapist Podcast is the podcast where we discuss the unique issues people of color face when dealing with mental health issues and mental health diagnosis. If you would like to reach out to us for feedback or show suggestions, show topics, please feel free to contact us at blacktherapistpodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to new or past episodes on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Google Play.
If you are having trouble listening to us on your preferred platform, or if you want us to be on a platform that we're not currently on, make sure that you send us a private message on our Instagram page at Black Therapist Podcast, or you can just drop us a message or send us an email at blacktherapistpodcast.com. If you want insider tips, resources, and access to our free mental health course, make sure that you text Get Happy to 66866. And my new book, Finding Happy, 7 Steps to Relationships That Will Not Steal Your Joy, is available right now on Amazon. You can go to our website or go to our Instagram pages and click the link and purchase, because we want to help you get your relationships together for 2018 and beyond. Please be mindful that this episode and all of the information that we provide here is just a resource and a tool to help get you started on your mental health journey. If you are feeling any mental health distress or you are having any significant issues, please feel free to reach out to us so that we can find you a mental health provider in your area. Okay, let's go. Happy 2019. Oh boy. Welcome back to the Black Therapist Podcast. So, I want to talk about the new year. I really do. I have so much going on. First things first, let's talk about the last 2 weeks. So I took 2 weeks off to work on a few things. We are gonna start selling some merchandise. Freaking dog is just like walking around. We're gonna start selling some merchandise. So I had to redo the website. So Black Therapist Podcast is up. It has all of our episodes. If you are a therapist and you're listening and you want to contact us in order to be on the show, you can do that from there. It's a link to get to my calendar. Don't click it now, because I will be rejecting everybody because I don't have my 2019 calendar up yet, but it will be up hopefully within the next couple of days. I build websites as well, so I've done a lot of this work myself, which means that it's taken me a long time. Not only did I do the Black Therapist Podcast website, I did my own personal site, which is nikitabanks.com site. I gave myself until 2018 to complete a course that I needed to be licensed in Florida. So I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, Georgia, and the ink ain't even really dry on my Florida license, but it will be in a few days. And so I had a course that I was dragging my feet to take. I had applied for my license, and then my dad died, and then it was just like, man, this is the last thing on my mind right now. So I gave myself a deadline of, till the end of 2018 to get it done. And of course, because my name is Nikita, I waited until December 30th to do the requirements that I needed to do. So that is all complete. And so if you are in the states of New York, you can come into my office. But if you're in New Jersey, Georgia, and Florida, and you're looking for a cool therapist, you can contact me and we can see what we can do. Okay? So I said all of that to say, and our mental health course. Our mental health course is ramping up again. I'm not sure when I'm gonna actually start doing the course, the live course, but it's on my site already. You can see how much it costs on the site, and so you can go to, I guess, either one of the websites, because there's a link there. And if you are not ready to take our free mental health, our free relationship course, which is Finding Happy, 7 Steps to Relationships That Will Not Steal Your Joy, you can take our free mental health course. It ain't as good, I'm just telling you right now, but it'll tell you what to expect if you are going to a new therapist, or if you've never been to a therapist before and you're curious, if you have a loved one who has been diagnosed with a mental illness, what do you do, etc. So if you're therapy curious, our free mental health course is the one for you. And if you are ready to meet all of your relationship goals in 2018, then Finding Happy is the course for you. And the course is reasonably priced. It's also cheaper than if you come to me for a couples counseling session or for any session. And there are some live components to it. Okay, so saying all of that to say, I need another 2 weeks off. So I think I'm going to try to, I'm saying a lot tonight, which I hate when I say but I think it has a lot to do with my uncomfortableness with this subject that we're about to get into. Y'all know what I'm going to talk about. I just changed the subject, but we might as well get on. I need another 2 weeks off because I want to get the old content up on the YouTube channel. I have subscribers on our YouTube channel, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of content up there. I think I have maybe 4 or 5 shows. So there are a few more things that I want to do to the website and a few more things that I want to do to the YouTube channel. And hello, I'm only one person, so I have to pace myself in order to get that done. Then I have patients at the hospital that I see. And then I have patients in my office that I see. And yeah, I'm back in therapy. Let's start there, right? So if you're on my Facebook or Instagram live, then you know that my therapist been sick for a while, but I was really, really stressed, and I just called his phone number and he answered the phone. So I went back to my first therapy session in a very long time. I think so. He said when I got there that I haven't seen him since July. So in 6 months, 6 months that I haven't seen him, and I really missed him. I really missed being able to go in there and say what I wanted. Like I came home from therapy and I was dreaming about something and I laughed in my sleep. Like a baby. Like, you've ever watched a baby sleep and like they laugh? Like, I laughed in my sleep. I laughed so hard that I woke up. Like, that's just kind of how free I felt, just kind of getting all of my stuff off of my chest and like going in there and like talking and getting it out. And so it was definitely needed. I purged a little bit, not as much as I wanted to, but it felt really good to go back to therapy, and it felt great to not have to start over with another therapist. I've had a lot of clients who come to me and they're like, "Oh, you guys always leave." And I mean, yeah, because when you work for certain organizations, the pay sucks. The pay sucks. The bosses aren't nice. You got all this damn paperwork. Sometimes you got to upsell mental health services. Nobody wants to be bothered with that. So it was really good for me to be back. And then I was having some billing problems with a few of the health insurances who owe me money at the end of the year. So that was kind of stressful. So it was really good for me to be able to be in a situation where I could speak to somebody who was also a colleague in that respect, complain about the business in a way that he understood. So I'm glad to be back at therapy. And then my son is home from college, and I went with him and his therapist, and then they promptly put me out because his time is his time and it's private. And that was that. So that was my last 2 weeks. So there may be a new show before the end of the month. I'm pretty sure that there will be. If I could bank a few up over the next few days and have some things to kind of schedule while I'm doing these other things, that may work, but I cannot spread myself too thin. I think he and I was talking about just kind of taking some things off my plate, because he was like, you are full and gluttony is a sin. So that was that. So speaking of sin and sinners, surviving R. Kelly. I don't want to do this show, to be honest with you. And I don't want to do this show. The fact that I don't want to do it is the reason that I have to do it. I went to a holiday party over the holiday season, and it was a therapist event thrown by one of the, my Black therapist friends, who is a male. And the DJ, probably unaware, but he played like 7-8 R. Kelly songs back to back. And I felt so conflicted and uncomfortable all at the same time. I kept waiting for someone else to like say something, and eventually I just kind of left. But I feel like that is emblematic and problematic of the way this whole thing has been able to persist. Number one, I didn't want to be that woman at the party, like, oh, turn this shit off, even though, I can definitely be that woman. Like, I just kind of wasn't in the mood for that night. And then number two, I think it's problematic with what happens for a lot of us, is we just hope that somebody else will take the responsibility to deal with it. And so watching this documentary day after day after day, first of all, I don't have cable. I told you guys, so I was watching it on the stick. And as I was looking at it, just I was confused by a lot of things. I was numb to a lot of things. My first reaction was that, damn, I'm so desensitized to this shit. And let me say this right off top, right? So there are times that I come on and I discuss certain things with you guys as a therapist, but 90% of the time I'm just me talking. And you gotta understand that I bring who I am and my response, my self-reflection and my whole self to the work that I do. But at the same token, I'm not always in therapist mode. Like sometimes I want to close my door because my kid is here. Sometimes I'm just Nikita, chick from the hood, right? So I've been really disgusted by social media, the reactions, the responses. Black men have really been showing their asses. I keep stuttering. Behind this whole thing. And I told you I like Funky.Neva. I was watching a few of Quentin's videos about surviving R. Kelly in the show, and he kept referring to certain psychiatric or psychologic things that or phenomenons that were discussed in the documentary. And I might go deeper into some of them just to explain. But I don't want to be misunderstood by anything that I'm going to say. And I want to be very careful to victims of sexual abuse, because even on my own social media page, because this topic is so loaded and triggering for so many people, I know that there's an opportunity for me to say something that's going to either be misconstrued or misunderstood or turned around. Watching the documentary, I was numb for the majority of it. I felt desensitized. And as a victim of sexual abuse myself, it's what happens when you're faced with unpleasurable or unpleasant thoughts that may possibly trigger a negative emotional response. You just fucking shut down. So I was watching it kind of like not really paying attention to a lot of it. I don't want to say pay attention to it. I mean, a guy on one of the Facebook posts, he was like, well, if we're throwing away R. Kelly, are we going to throw away Tupac and Mike Tyson? And I'm like, number one, Tupac, he's dead. Number two, who's really messing with Mike? Like, who's messing with Mike Tyson? There was a whole discussion behind Mike Tyson and the rape allegations. He was convicted, but the rape allegations, and then Tupac's rape allegations. And I'm not going to relitigate those two things. I think that those things are different than the circumstances surrounding R. Kelly. Like, there's no denying that R. Kelly is a sick, crazy person. And there's no denying that probably Mike Tyson has hit women. I don't know if he raped anybody, even though he was convicted. I just don't know. I was not there. There's not enough evidence for me that it happened. The trial was a little crazy. There were things said about, the accuser accusing other people of rape previously. Removing a tampon. She could say no at any time, so she could have very well have been raped, but I just don't know. In the Tupac situation, like, I'm old enough to have had friends who knew people in the hotel with him, and I'll leave it at that. But what was said when I made that point, like, no, like, for me, the problem that I really truly had with R. Kelly is how he adapted. Like, he literally was like, oh, okay, I can't mess with 13-year-olds anymore, 12-year-olds anymore. I'm going to just get them legal age. Like, he started dating 16 to 17-year-olds and 19-year-olds. And it's just like madness. Just the adaptation of his predatory behavior to seem more acceptable in society was like nuts to me. And if anybody has seen me in person, I'm like 5 feet tall. I probably weigh the most I've ever weighed right now my whole entire life. I probably fluctuate between like 120 to 125. I'm never really over 125 ever. And I have friends who are in the music industry. I have one guy in particular who produced a song for R. Kelly and Ashanti. Shout out to Demi Doc. And I met R. Kelly. And I'm petite. But, and he was very pleasant. He was nice. Was weird. He kind of gave me a kiss on the cheek, which I didn't need. But he didn't try anything. He didn't ask me for his number. He didn't do anything. We were with some record executives. That was the end of that. Actually, I got a number for my friend who was the producer, and it wasn't R. Kelly's number. It was for someone in his record label. So, I mean, he was respectful to me, but that doesn't mean that he's a respectful person, right? And so on the post, when I put some of that, I didn't put that in Medium or whatever. Nobody cares about that. But when I put the thing on the post about, I was so surprised at how he adapted his behaviors. But, I don't know whether the situation with Tupac or Mike Tyson was an ongoing thing. The person said, well, how many people do they need to rape before, it becomes a problem? Which obviously I took offense to. But then I had to say, as a black woman, if I was ever keeping score about the damage that has been inflicted on me personally by black men, I would never fuck with y'all. Like I believe there's a mechanism in our brain similar to the pain in childbirth. Like when you have a child, that pain threshold is more than we are supposed to be humanly possibly able to bear. Yet, for the most of us who have had childbirth, vaginal childbirth, we cannot remember it because that pain also gave birth to pleasure. And I think that we get to forget that pain. I think that is kind of God's gift in a way to allow us to keep procreating so that we are able to endure. Because if we could really truly remember the trauma of that pain, we wouldn't do it again. I think that same mechanism that works in our brain also works for us being able to continue to deal with black men who harm us and hurt us and don't honor us and don't protect us and don't treat us nicely. And then in that conversation, it was a lot about, okay, well, even if Mike Tyson didn't rape people, he was physically abusive. But because I'm exposed to that kind of trauma in my own life, my father was physically abusive. So should I not love my father? Like, I don't have to support Mike Tyson if he's abusing women. And I don't know if he is or if he isn't. I'm just saying, this was the conversation. I don't have to support him, but I still have to love my dad. I just don't have to love what he did. It becomes so complicated. So there was a lot of discussion about separating the man from his music, and you can't take anything away from R. Kelly's genius. I think we shouldn't separate him from his music because we are all complicated human beings. And I think if we listen to his music, I don't mean like actively going out and listening to it on the radio or popping in an R. Kelly CD. Although I mean, Love Letter was one of my favorite albums, right? I'm not talking about popping in an R. Kelly CD, but I'm saying if I'm in mixed company again where the music comes on, I'm going to have to make it known that it makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to have to make it known that I don't think that you're going to be able to think about and listen to R. Kelly and just dance to Happy People and not know that he's a sexual predator and he preys on women. there was another post from somebody that I generally like, who was like, oh, y'all been knew R. Kelly was, how he was. Just go ahead and step in the name of love. And I was like, no, I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know because I didn't watch child pornography. Like, I never understood people that wanted to watch that tape. Like, I'm of the generation where I remember the tape being out. And I don't remember anybody I know watching the tape, but I'm pretty sure that somebody I knew watched the tape. But nobody ever had a discussion with me about them watching the tape. That's number one. Number two, I never wanted to see it because I was like, if I'm in possession of this tape, isn't this child pornography? Like, why would I want to watch child pornography? That's just like, it just sounded like something I didn't want to be a part of. So I never ever had the thing like, oh, that's him. Yep, that's him, because I saw the tape. Because I was never even gonna put myself in a position to watch child pornography just to prove that this person was that. Listen, wasn't necessary. That was number one to me. But number two, I didn't have the frame of reference when this whole thing came out. I wasn't as adult as I am now. I've since worked with sexual abusers, and I know how they work. I didn't know about sexual predatory behavior. I didn't know that when my girlfriend was having sex with her father's friend, and I told her, this is molestation, like, he's molesting you. And she's like, no, shut up. That was molestation. And maybe I should have told her father. I didn't know that, I didn't know what was going on when my aunt was telling my other aunt that my 12-year-old cousin was pregnant, when we're seeing her belly grow. And I'm 13, and we're not going to have this conversation because my aunt was just like, it's not happening. And then a few months later, there's a baby, right? I didn't know that my mother was a teenage mother. I didn't know my grandmother was a teenage mother. I didn't know my great-grandmother was a teenage mother. I didn't know. I didn't know that my first boyfriend was 21. I didn't know. He lied. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do when my younger sister was 16 and she was dating somebody that was over 21. And I tried to explain to her that I don't think you should be dating this guy. And she told me to mind my business. I didn't know. I didn't know that there were men out there that would psychologically manipulate me. I didn't know that there were going to be people that actually wouldn't love me and care for me, and they only wanted to harm me and use me as an instrument for their pleasure only, and not give a fuck about me or how I feel. I didn't know. So no, I can't just step in the name of love today and be like, I knew. Like, come on, we gotta do better. And these are black men. And then I had to go out yesterday on a date. I didn't fucking want to be bothered with no man. I could not do it. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Because there's so many rules and regulations and things that I have to do to keep myself safe. If it's not, somebody trying to slip me a Mickey, or, I don't even call it that no more. I don't know what they doing, what they drugging girls with, Special K. Slip me something to take advantage of me. If I don't got to watch my back on the train, where I may or may not see penis because it's New York City. If I don't have to watch out for the regular creeps that I deal with, cheating and lying and doing, like, now I got to worry about sexual manipulators. And a lot of it was hard for me to even fathom that parents would allow their 14 and 15-year-old, 12-year-old kid to be in this man's presence. Not at a concert, not just to be in his presence. Like, I didn't understand why that was happening. Especially not in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2015, 2016, 2012. People was getting full on spins, downloads, money off of YouTube. Like, you ain't need no goddamn washed up ass R. Kelly to get you no record deal. This wasn't back in the days with Aaliyah. You didn't need no damn R. Kelly. And let's talk about Aaliyah, because there's been a lot of people saying a lot of stuff about Aaliyah's parents. But what I will say about Aaliyah's people, number one, I don't think they knew who he was when that whole situation happened. And number two, what a lot of people don't remember about Aaliyah was Barry Hankerson's niece. Barry Hankerson was married to Gladys Knight. So they had already come from like a show busy type family where it's different. Like, the rules are a little bit different. My son is an actor. He's been on Broadway. And as much as I would like to say I could protect him, when he was in a Broadway play, I could not physically go backstage sometimes. Like, they wouldn't let me be in the dressing room with him. He had a monitor. She was bonded. I had her fingerprints. I had her phone numbers, whatever. But, like, he was working. Like, it was work. And so Aaliyah was signed to a record label. Shit happens. But for these other girls, I just didn't understand, like, why these parents took that chance to even have her in these kids in like, I just didn't get it. Because I had this conversation around Michael Jackson. Somebody once was like, oh, if Michael Jackson tried to do something with my kid, I would like Mike out. And I'm like, Michael Jackson got like thousands of dollars worth of security. Like, if Michael Jackson, you take your kid to Neverland Ranch and Mike's security be like, let me have your booty hole, it ain't not a damn thing you could do about it. Ain't nothing you could do about it. You may or may not make it out. You may just want your life. Don't even put yourself in that situation. And then people say you're victim blaming. We are women. And we have to think 2 and 3 steps ahead so that we are safe. Your safety is an issue. Your safety is an issue. Compartmentalizing. We are good as a community at compartmentalizing, but the reason that we are good as a community at compartmentalizing is because we have endured so much psychological trauma. The majority of Black people are born of rape, because our ancestors have been raped through slavery. You think I just meet a buck today and, a Black slave and a male and a female, they just meet the same day that they want to have sex? We don't know each other. Slave master and, Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings, she didn't have a choice. So sexual abuse and violence and lack of consent and lack of agency and lack of control, it's woven into the fabric of who we are as a country. And if that remains in our consciousness at all times, how the fuck can we function? We would have so much anxiety and so much depression and so much PTSD that we would not be able to exist. Now, I was gonna talk a little bit about R. Kelly because what did stick out to me was the fact that he was abused and the fact that he was a narcissist and a sociopath and he was manipulated. I could talk about all of that, but I think that a lot of the comments that I've seen about him is that he's sick. When we're discussing his sickness, a lot of it takes his agency or the choices that he makes to engage in these behaviors away from him. It absolves him from doing anything better. And then he had the fucking gall that I didn't even know about this song. He wrote a song called Yeah, I Did It. Baby, who could possibly? And old people, grandmoms going to the, I'm just here for the music. I am so numb about my own abuse, right? That I had a patient. I'd seen her once before. Young girl, 16. Well, she wasn't 16. Around 14, 15. Try to get through this. 14, 15. She was psychotic. She had a psychotic break, but we didn't know why. And I went to go visit her and do, my aftercare thing that I do. Sometimes I visit clients in their homes after hospitals. Went to go visit her and her mom. And she had a first psychotic break. We never knew why. Mom was in therapy for some other personal reasons. Her brother was in therapy for personal reasons, but this was a new behavior for her. So a few days go by, a few weeks go by, I get called to come back to the house. I go back to the house. She had a psychotic break this time. This time, the mom is happy to see me, but she's in tears. And I'm like, what happened? The girl is like numb. She's Ayanna says from the neck dead, right? Dead from the neck down, whatever. So she says to me, oh, well, my brother caught me doing something sexual with whoever the guy's name was. So the mother's like crying hysterically. And I'm like, well, what? So the little boy is there. I guess he had to be about 11 or 12. Apparently he walked in on her giving this grown man oral sex, but the man had been manipulating her. And the mother was like, it was the mother's ex-boyfriend. And she's like, now I'm about to lose my kids. I can't believe that this had happened. I really, really trusted him. This happened to me when I was a child. I can't believe I didn't protect her. She was like really going off. And I, as a therapist, one of the tools that we use is to normalize a person's experience. So I asked the little girl how she was feeling, whatever. And I just like casually, because we compartmentalize, I mentioned, oh, well, I know how you feel. Something similar happened to me. That didn't happen to me, but, whatever. And when I say that didn't happen, I mean those circumstances. But sex abuse is sex abuse. Violation is violation. So the girl perked up and she was like, what happened? And I was like, oh God, I never tell this story. Like, I don't even know how to begin. And I wanted to like immediately stick it back in my mouth. Like, oh my God, I didn't just tell these people that this happened. But the mother was crying so badly because when she told her mother that she was molested, her mother told her it didn't happen, go lay down. And the daughter had known the story because the daughter was the one that related while the mother was crying. And then she was like, well, what happened to you? And I was like, oh, I can't. I can't. Like, I felt like I stepped on an emotional landmine, and I was like, I can't unbox this here. So what ended up happening was we discussed other ways to keep her safe, and I provided the family with some resources. But if you guys have listened to my older shows, you know that I've also worked with sexual predators. The problem with people like R. Kelly is the fact that they still live in society with us. And as you see, he's adapted. He no longer dates people who are underaged, but he dates people who are emotionally and psychologically vulnerable. He has now gotten the power over them, and he's power drunk. Good news is he gonna be broke in a minute. Good news is we know who he is. The good news is there's no place for him to hide. The good news is hopefully people will stop putting themselves in these positions and predicaments to give him access to them and their children. I could talk about all the people that were complicit and that was around him. And one of the things I really truly want to talk about is this whole phenomenon women have of believing that we are fucking special. Like, I never understood why we don't see people for their past behaviors. I don't mean see people for their past behaviors like my old mistakes. I'm not talking about old shit. I'm talking about if you got a man who don't take care of none of his kids, why would you procreate with him? And then call him a name. Right? It was literally like that same kind of situation with these women. Was like, well, I heard he had all these sex slaves, and I heard he did but ain't gonna do it to me. Wasn't gonna do it to me till he did it to you. I don't mean to laugh, but we get so caught up in this idea and this fantasy that we are special and that we are going to change the man for the better or for the difference, or that was who he used to be. We believe so much in redemption. My therapist once said, hope is a hell of a drug. It is. Because we will see things as they are and hope that things will be as we want them to be. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. I know about Stockholm Syndrome, but I ain't talking about that right now. Y'all go look that up. Go look up narcissistic personality disorder. Go look up sociopathic personality disorder. I think personally he was going back to high school because he wanted to relive his glory days. That was when he finally realized that he wasn't little special ed Rob. He was Robert with the angel voice. But that's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. We have to do better as a community. And while we at it, because I was going to do this show a few weeks ago, we have to do better at protecting our children. We can't just be meeting some guy today and letting him sit on the kid's lap. It's our kids sitting on their laps. We can't have our new man or new friend babysitting our babies and we don't know them. We can't be out here making our children kiss people and hug people that they don't like. Kids know who they like and who they don't like, and they know why they like them and why they don't like them. We can't be leaving our kids with any and everybody when they can't speak. Some of us, culturally, we be setting our girls up for failure. And that's real talk. All this spending the night and, you know, and I say that very not being able to spend the night at kids' houses and people who have brothers. Hell, I was molested. None of that. I couldn't do any of that. I couldn't do any of that and still got it. So, but some of these behaviors, all this calling somebody family that ain't, calling girls fast, looking at our daughters as if they're a competition. Like, I get it. For some of these men, it's a new girl coming out of the ponytail every day. It's new girls coming off the stoop every day. But we gotta do better. We gotta also stop glorifying these men. Because I could tell you, in my little neighborhood in Brooklyn, the same men that was out here, you know, on the prowl in their 40s, when I was in my early 20s and my 18s, my late teens, they still out here looking for girls in their late teens and in their early 20s. They ain't looking at me. Because I got bills. I got bills and life experience. You ain't just about to tell me nothing. Bill don't smoke up my ass. You better come back to me with some receipts and some things. A man who doesn't have the mental capacity to deal with a woman will deal with a child. And we have to stop making this acceptable. We have to also stop making our children accessible. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to talk about. I'm surprised I got through all of that. I'm just disgusted. I'm disgusted. And in my capacity as a forensic social worker, I have heard a lot of things. And yes, a lot of the abusers were abused. However, at some point, you have to take responsibility for your own healing and not hurt people just because people hurt you. I don't want to say he's sick. I don't even want to see his sickness. I don't even want to, empathize with that part of him. I know it's there. I do. But I don't want to be a therapist today. I don't want to empathize with that. Not right now. I want him to go sit his ass down somewhere and go get him some real intensive help. I really want him to be castrated. I can't really say what I really want to say. Then I put up a post and it said, a lot of people are calling for justice against R. Kelly, but a lot of these same people broke bread with their family member. I'm just talking, yakking, and the battery done died. As I was saying, there's a lot of us out here that have broke bread over the holidays with our abuser. And the reason that I said our abuser is because, not me, I didn't do it. But the reason that I said with somebody that abused you is because unless it really truly happened to you, you can deny it. And you can ignore it and you can pretend like it didn't happen. But if it happened to you, and you still have to give that, or you still feel like you have to, because you ain't got to do shit. If you still feel like you have to give that person access to you, you are still allowing yourself to be a victim. And that's not where we want to be. That's not where we need to be, and that's not where your healing is. Somebody said that I was victim blaming. And what I told her is, I write stuff on Facebook. I can't read it for you, and I can't comprehend it for you. If you don't understand what I'm saying, then you can unfollow and unfriend me. I don't know you in real life anyway. But my point is this. If someone can tell you that they were molested and you can deny it, you can't deny it when it's you. And when it happens to you and you're still giving this person access to you, we gotta examine that. We definitely gotta talk about that. And there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that happens. Look it up. I'm not defining anything tonight. I'm not in the mood. But there's a lot of separation and fighting of what you really truly know to be true because it's uncomfortable and you don't want to accept it. Like Trump supporters thinking he give two damns about them. But that's a whole topic from another day. We got to do what we got to do to help facilitate our healing. We got to do what we got to do as a community to raise our community standards. We have allowed the culture of misogyny and abuse and pimping and men defining their masculinity through their penis for way too long. Like, something gotta give. We gotta start raising our sons differently, y'all. We gotta start investing in our men a lot differently. We gotta start holding them to account and holding them to a different standard. I will say this, a lot of the men in my sex offender group, they got women. And on that note, if you want to join us for finding happy steps to relationships that will not steal your joy, and learn new ways of engaging and finding healthy, happy relationships, y'all come get on the website and join me. I'm going to have me a Hennessy sorrel and take my behind the bed. Y'all be well. And decompress and pray and go to therapy. Because that was very troubling. And I don't even want to talk about Dominique and the sex with the making her dress like a boy. Y'all be well.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Black Therapist Podcast. Once again, you can follow us on all our social media sites at Black Therapist Podcast on Instagram and on Twitter, as well as Black in Therapy on Facebook. Or you can follow your host, me, Miss MSNIKI Banks on Instagram and Twitter, as well as you can find out any information about me at Nikita, NIKITA Banks.com, and on the show's website, blacktherapistpodcast.com. And don't forget, if you want to send us any general feedback, show suggestions, show topics, or guest ideas, please feel free to drop us an email at blacktherapistpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you. Be well.